The fourth world champion Alekhine is most famous for his attacking games. And this, I think, is also seen and reflected in his most famous endgames, and so I made a selection in that direction. So let's start with Walter John Alexander Alekhine, Congress of the German Chess Federation, Hamburg, 1910. And yeah, it's a good example for the fourth phase of the game. First the opening, then the middle game, the end game, and after both sides have queened a pawn, then starts the fourth phase. But here, of course, I start with the rook endgame, and it is white to move. And here John could have saved himself. The rook belongs behind the passed pawn, so rook f3, or passed pawns must be pushed, so f6, or something else. Passed pawns must be pushed. Rook f3 is a mistake, then black is always one tempo too quick. Yeah, the guideline that the rook belongs behind the passed pawn is a very good one in rook endings, of course, but it also leads to a lot of mistakes if applied too automatically. These guidelines, of course, must always be checked with concrete calculation. And here f6 draws, as now white is just quick enough in the races. After rook f5, now the rook can go behind the pawn and it is a draw. And after c3, white's rook is in time for the counter checks, for the checks, the reign of checks. And now, yeah, black's king has no real shelter, and the rook endgame is a draw. In the game, John played rook f3, and now Alekhine is too quick in all variations. His king finds shelter on b3. There's a typical procedure. Yeah, if John would have continued to give checks, then Alekhine can find shelter. And yeah, an endgame with queen against rook will result. This would also have been possible in the game, but maybe this is this is better technique from white's point of view, because it forces black to win with queen against rook. And this still not so easy. Some technical problems still lie ahead, while in the game Alekhine won in the mating attack, which is easier than this technical endgame. But of course it's also winning for black. John played f6, and now both sides queened their pawns. And then, the most famous rule for this fourth phase applies. The side which has a safer king wins, or the side which can give the first check wins. But of course, one check is not sufficient. It must be clear that the king cannot find real shelter. And here, black to move wins, and white to move, of course, would also win directly. Then the side with the first check would win. Queen d2 check, and there is no salvation. But of course, from a practical point of view, again, it would be better to head for an endgame with queen against rook. So here John made a mistake in that respect. He should play king g3, and then he can reach the technical endgame. Check, and now the rook goes to g3, and the queen can interfere with counter check, and Alekhine would be forced to win again the technical endgame with queen against rook. It is won, of course, but more difficult much more difficult than the game. Jon played rook f2, and now there's no queen against rook anymore. Black's mating attack always wins more or less directly, or a lot of material. King h1 doesn't help, then check. And the rook is very badly placed on h2, but white, of course, is lost in any case. And here black already has choice, but of course, check. And again, check is good technique. There's no calculation of just winning the rook or whatever, but black wins. Could know. Now black has several ways and could win the queen or mate or well, whatever. Now it's absolutely clear. The computer, of course, goes for the mate, but now it's obvious that it's over. In the game, Jon played king h3, but his king can't escape, and so he resigned, as it would be mate next move. Yeah. And even here in this rook endgame, Alekhine showed his enormous powers in attack, and so I chose here to start this selection of endgames with examples for the fourth phase of the game, or queen and rook against queen and rook, or queen are endgames.